A rescue team discovers and captures a wild child in an abandoned building. Later, the kid wakes up in a shelter, which is a children protection zone. The shelter is something new for the child, as he has spent his life so far in an abandoned building. New clothes and good food are new for him, so he spends most of his time alone on the hill. When other kids come near him to play, he acts wild in front of them, which scares them, as he cannot understand what they say most of the time. The owners call him like a Mowgli from the Jungle Book, as he mostly expresses himself through gestures and expressions since he cannot speak properly. In the shelter, the children get letters from outside. The child is curious about it when a girl nearby, named Rodina, tells him the letters are from sponsors, and sponsors are the adults who care for them. They send letters and sometimes gifts too. The girl becomes his best friend. She tells him everything about sponsors and what gifts other kids get from theirs, though she herself has not received any letter or gift. She tells the child the reason is that she does not need a sponsor, because her mom promised she will come after 100 days to take her. One afternoon, the teacher tells a story to the children. Long ago, aliens came from space and became our friends. On the playground afterward, Rodina drags Mory toward a boy clutching a forbidden book. A boy says the teacher is lying, and that the truth is, humans fought aliens with nukes, but the aliens swallowed them like nothing. That's why humans surrendered. A girl asks why they ate it, and the boy replies it was because they were hungry. Some days later, the little boy, whose name is Mory, gets a letter with his name. Now he has a sponsor. Seeing this, the girl starts crying. Mory does not understand what she wants and why she starts crying, because just a few hours ago, she said she did not need a sponsor. Anyways, seeing her sad makes Mory nervous, so he gives her the cookie to show his sympathy. She tells Mory that the 100 days her mom promised have long passed, and now she is alone. Mory sits alongside her so she does not feel lonely. This actually makes her feel better, and she asks him if he really wants to give away his cookie, but Mory cannot hold his drools. Later, she reads Mory's letter for him as he still does not know how to read. The letter has "Hello there" written on it, which surprises the girl. A blue flower falls out of the envelope, which Mory takes with him. Later at night, the flower gives Mory a relieved feeling he has never felt before. Days go by, and Mory receives more letters, soon becoming the richest kid in the shelter. But the wording in the letters is still the same strange one. Mory likes the crayons too much, because to him, they are more like food, but the girl teaches him they are meant to write. This surprises him more. A few days later, the kids help with the laundry, where soap bubbles make Mory excited as these kinds of things are new for him. Suddenly, the girl's mom arrives at the shelter, calling her name Rodina. Seeing her mom, Rodina instantly runs toward her and they hug each other. Meanwhile, Mory just stands afar, watching them. Later, Rodina says her goodbye to Mory. She gives him a few pieces of advice about not eating too fast and staying healthy. She gives him a bag and shoes as a gift. At last, she also hugs him and wishes him to be happy too. Then Rodina leaves the shelter with her mom. Later, Mory sits again on the hill, because the absence of a friend leaves a big hole. But he is not truly alone, as he has the letters which smell of flowers and gifts. Mory remembers how kids talked about adults, and the other day, how happy Rodina was when she met her mom, and he starts thinking that maybe this person is his mom. That night, Mory packs his things, says goodbye to the shelter from a distance, and sets off on an unknown path to meet his mom. Later, Mory wakes up on a train, which is taking him on an unknown journey in search of his mom. He leaves the train in a desert and walks on foot. While climbing a hill, he sees some bikes coming from a distance, which turn out to be monster thugs. Seeing them, Mory gets scared and runs, while someone watches from the peak of a hill. At last, the monsters catch Mory. Seeing him so small, they first think of selling him, but then decide to eat him. Suddenly, the thug's boss arrives. Just as he is about to eat Mory, one of the thugs gets a headshot. It turns out to be the same person from before, who was watching Mory from the hill, and he is called Ryder. They try to fight him, but the Ryder defeats all of them easily and ends up standing in front of Mory. Mory stays on full alert. The Ryder calls his AI assistant, Aya, who tells him that this kid is human. The Ryder instantly becomes friendly with Mory so he won't get more scared, and offers to take him home. This makes Mory happy, thinking he will take him to his mom. But in reality, the Ryder has another plan. Eating humans is not illegal, as it is considered taboo, so he decides to sell Mory for $300. Seeing Mory's nice clothes, he instead decides to put him for auction. To check, he lifts Mory's cloak and sees a mark. This terrifies him, and he instantly changes his mind. Making excuses about being busy, he gets back on his bike and speeds away. He is scared of the symbol and thinks he almost ruined his life by messing with it. His throat dries out from fear, so he decides to drink some water. Suddenly, he sees Mory riding on the bike alongside him. The Ryder is shocked and tries to kick him off, which results in both of them crashing from the bike. Later, the Ryder wakes up at night from unconsciousness and sees paper on himself. Mory wakes before Ryder, which scares him. Aya tells Ryder that, as he was worried Mory's body temperature might drop, this human tried to cover himself with paper. When Ryder asks for water, Mory brings some and pours it all over his face. Then Mory starts pulling out some of his letters from his bag. Ryder knows about the patch on the letter, one of the 7 fingers of him, the beginning and the end of the universe. Only the owner of the patch and those with permission could use this symbol. For others to carelessly threaten them was like hastening their death to tomorrow. But Ryder thinks this human seems to be somewhat lacking. The symbol is engraved on most of his items, even the expensive letter paper worth a month's food budget. Ryder gets an idea. If he safely delivers this human child, he will surely claim a reward. As his ride's battery is running low and he needs to recharge, he sets out on foot with Mory. He tells Mory he knows these areas very well. Before he can warn Mory about what to avoid here, he sees a strange insect in Mory's mouth. Before Mory can eat it, Ryder stops him. Ryder warns him not to eat such things again. He explains that if the legs of insects have a bluish tint, they can be poisonous, and if the roots are swollen and round, they can also be poisonous. Ryder feels relieved, thinking Mory now understands and there will be no more trouble. But it seems Mory doesn't take his words seriously. All day, he keeps Ryder worried. When night falls, Ryder wants to rest and starts to reconsider his decision. Then he sees Mory drawing different sketches. Mory shows him excitedly. Ryder notices his own name written on the pencil case and learns the child's real name is Mory. Then he sees a drawing of himself. Concerned, he asks Mory, "Who is this?" Mory points at the drawing and says it is him. This shocks Ryder. He stares at the drawing for a long time. It is the first time someone has drawn him. Ryder looks genuinely happy, and Aya even asks if he looks happy enough, but Ryder immediately denies it. The next day, they get ready to continue their journey, but Mory is lost in his own world. He shakes hands with a wild animal. Just then, its protector arrives, and the moment it touches Mory, it sets him on fire. The fire engulfs Mory in flames. Ryder runs to help, but it's too late. He despairs at the flickering blaze. Mory should be burned black, leaving no trace. But in that moment, the cloak flutters, and the flames vanish one by one. Mory is completely safe. Ryder stares in disbelief, shocked. He points his gun at the wild animal. The animal speaks something he cannot understand, but he knows it is about protecting its child. Ryder reminds it that Mory is also a child. During this tense moment, a massive wild beast rises from the bottom of the desert and appears before them. Ryder realizes this is an angry adult, but its fury is directed at its young. This shocks him completely. The baby animal gives Mory a stone as a gift, while Mory offers him a quill in return. They quickly become friends, and the animals leave. Ryder tells Mory he was saved today only because of his cloak, and he should be grateful. Mory holds the cloak, surprised and thoughtful. Ryder thinks unlike animals divided from each other, humans can reproduce, meaning Mory must also have a mother. Long ago, when the master of the earth briefly left for space and returned, many life forms had been born in the meantime. Among them, the most greedy and violent were humans. They wanted to claim everything as theirs, from a single blade of grass beneath their feet to other humans. But their numbers gradually decreased and they began disappearing. Ryder then looks at Mory, who sleeps peacefully beside him. He observes the boy with curiosity. As he reaches out, Mory instinctively grabs his finger, making Ryder pause in surprise. The moment feels unexpectedly warm, and Mory smiles in his sleep, unaware. It brings a heartfelt smile to Ryder's face, but neither of them notices a mysterious man watching from afar. The next day, they arrive at a city. People in the streets gather around Mory, thinking he is cute and adorable. Ryder backs them off, saying they need to pay if they want to see him. Later, they go to a cafe, where Ryder meets his friend Valentine. She asks about Ryder's motives in deciding to raise a human. Ryder clarifies, it is not about food, so she should not get any strange ideas. Then Ryder shows her the symbol on the letter. Seeing it, Valentine explains the symbol is used for payment. She saw it once before during a trade negotiation, and they are probably in the city. This makes Ryder uneasy. She checks Mory's black hair and explains that the man she bargained with also had black hair. Ryder tells her he wants accommodation, a power bar, and a solar charging port. They start to argue over the rates. Aya suggests selling his spare battery, but Ryder refuses to waste it. Aya then advises him to sell Mory's belongings instead. Ryder asks Valentine the price of the stone Mory received as a gift. Valentine recognizes it as a Tomas stone. Accidentally, she drops it and it breaks. Mory goes wild, but to their surprise, the stone pieces quickly fuse back together. Valentine explains the special trait of this stone is that it repairs itself and glows at night, but in practice, it is worthless. Ryder throws the stone back toward Mory, but it lands a little far away. When Mory goes to pick it up, he is suddenly confronted by a masked figure. The stranger finds him cute and throws him into a magic pocket. Inside, it is completely dark, and Mory is completely trapped. He looks worried. When Ryder finishes his business and leaves, he cannot find Mory. Realizing that the masked man has kidnapped him, Ryder shouts for him to stop, but the man keeps running. Aya scans the temperature inside the masked man's pocket and tells Ryder that there is a living force there, meaning Mory is inside. Ryder gives chase while Aya scans from above the town, sharing the kidnapper's location with him. Catching the masked man becomes difficult, so Aya suggests a predicted destination. To reach it, Ryder leaps from a high place and, with perfect timing, lands in front of the kidnapper, blocking his path. He also cuts off the escape route with his ride. Ryder calls out, shouting for Mory to respond if he can hear him. Though unable to speak, Mory growls. Ai scans the sound and confirms it is definitely Mory. Ryder demands the masked man return the child hidden in his pocket, but the man refuses, claiming he doesn't know what Ryder means because he has something of his own he has been raising. Ai warns that Mory's fear level is rising. Ryder's patience snaps. He pulls out his gun and gives the masked man a final warning to release Mory. But the masked man only smiles, saying no, because the child is too cute, and he wants to raise him himself. The masked man recognizes Ryder at a glance, knowing his infamous reputation. He asks how someone as dangerous as Ryder could ever raise a child, claiming that he could raise Mory with more love. The masked man warns Ryder that if he fires his gun, it will put him on the wanted list. But Ryder is dead serious and tells him that doesn't matter. Inside the dark, narrow pocket, Mory is scared with no way out. Suddenly, he hears the voice of the doll his mother gave him. The doll says, "Don't forget to use the bathroom before bed." Meanwhile, Ryder prepares to fire, but he hesitates. He wonders if the man's pocket is somehow connected to his body, and if he fires, will the cloak block the impact? At that moment, the masked man looks down and notices something wet. To his disgust, Mory has peed inside the pocket. Panicking, he quickly pulls Mory out. Before the masked man can grab him, his hands are blown away by Ryder's shot. Ryder points his gun, Mory now safe in his arms, and issues a cold warning. Never dare to touch Mory again. They leave the scene. Ryder is relieved. Mory is safe and praises him. Mory hears the doll's voice once more. "I'm proud of you." Hearing this, Mory's eyes sparkle, his cheeks flush, and his heart races with excitement for what lies ahead. Their next journey takes them to the whale cradle. Soon enough, they arrive in a beautiful land, a forest surrounded by green mountains. They stay there for some time, even spending a while at the lake, when suddenly a creature attacks. Somehow, they manage to escape. As night falls, a breathtaking sky filled with glowing creatures spreads above them while they ride. Seeing Mory's excitement, Ryder lifts him up toward the sky, as if Mory longs for something always just out of reach. When Mory drifts into sleep, a memory surfaces, a moment of warmth, wrapped in his mother's loving embrace. But reality pulls him back as he stirs and clings tightly to Ryder's coat. By now, they have reached snowy mountains. Ryder puts warm clothes on Mory to protect him from the cold. Just then, Aya alerts Ryder that something is approaching at a speed of more than 440 kilometers. The ground begins to rumble. Ryder grows tense. This speed is not that of hunters from town. He quickly rides his bike to escape, but it is in vain. The presence still rushes toward them at incredible speed. As it draws close, Ryder fires, but his bullets vanish into nothing, absorbed by a black hole forming in the stranger's hands. Out of the shadows steps a mysterious hunter, dressed in a white coat and hat. The same figure who had been watching them earlier, now standing right before them. Ryder is shocked. He has never seen a hunter who can control a black hole. He wonders how they could hire someone like this just for a few shots in town. Ryder asks Aya what his chances are of winning against this hunter. Aya replies there is only a 16% chance, and with a natural disaster, the margin increases by 7%. Just the hunter's presence makes Ryder uneasy, and Aya's probabilities are always accurate. Deciding to avoid a direct fight, Ryder switches his motor into ultimate speed mode and fires his gun into the sky. The blast shakes the mountain, triggering a massive snowslide. Using the chaos as cover, Ryder speeds away at full power and tells Mory to stay still. They need to reach the bridge, and then it will be easier to escape. He keeps shooting back as he rides, but the hunter continues to chase them relentlessly. Ryder notices something strange. He isn't sure, but it feels like the hunter has no real intention of attacking them. Hoping to cross the bridge, Ryder pushes forward, but to his surprise, the hunter suddenly appears right behind his bike. In an instant, the hunter grabs Ryder by the throat in the middle of the bridge. As he reaches for Mory, Ryder makes his move. He snatches the boy and leaps off the bridge. Below, the wings of a massive flying whale emerge. Ryder grabs hold, pulling Mory with him. The hunter remains standing on the bridge as Ryder even manages to retrieve his bike. They escape on the whale's back, soaring away from danger. The struggle leaves Ryder gasping for breath, and he passes out. When he opens his eyes again, Aya informs him they are already in the city. Before entering the city, Aya warns Ryder that they don't know if the warrant has already reached there, so it is better to disguise himself. Ryder changes his hairstyle, but when Mory sees him, he doesn't recognize Ryder and gets scared. They come up with an idea. Ryder covers his face with his jacket, Mory rides on his shoulders, and Aya sits on Mory's head. When they reach the entrance, a portable representative figure welcomes them. After Ryder tells them they are here to meet the patch, the representative asks to see the insignia. Ryder shows him the patch on the letter. The representative opens many portals and asks which one they are looking for. But the problem is, there are too many portals, from the owner to the members, and they don't know which one to choose. Then Mory shows the blue flower he was gifted. Seeing it, the representative opens a portal meant for only one person. He tells them to go inside, and they will reach their destination. When they step into the portal, they arrive at a breathtaking place, a peaceful green field with a large house built in the center. Mory looks happy there. They walk to the front door. Ryder warns them, saying that if they entered the city without an invitation, they could die, so they must stay close to him. But Mory catches sight of a mysterious figure in the window of the house. His eyes fill with excitement, and he wants to go closer. Ignoring Ryder, Mory squeezes through the bars of the gate and escapes. Ryder shouts for him to stop, but he doesn't listen. Mory sneaks through a window into a wide, sunlit hallway. Moving cautiously, he begins exploring the mansion, only to be startled by someone waiting in the shadows. Inside the room, the Beaklings stare at Mory in surprise, asking who he is and how he got there. Mory looks around, confused and scared. Just then, he senses the smell of the blue flower. He follows it and runs off, leaving the Beaklings wondering before they can stop him. While chasing the scent, Mory collides with someone. The smell of the blue flower is strong. It's coming from here. Mory looks up, eyes shining, heart racing at the thought of a warm embrace, a familiar scent. Is this his mother? But when he looks closer, he freezes. A massive shadow looms ahead. Glowing eyes pierce through the darkness, and enormous wings spread wide. Mory's breath catches. He has never seen anything like this before. Memories flash in his mind. Rodina joyfully reuniting with her mother, and Mory expects the same love and care from his own. But that is not the case. Tears stream down his face. Ryder bursts into the room, only to see Mory crying uncontrollably. Later, Mory collapses in a corner of the mansion, still sobbing. Aya and Ryder stay close, trying to reassure him that he isn't alone, that they are with him, and urging him to come outside. They offer to draw with him, but Mory is dazed, unresponsive, lost in his sorrow. At that moment, a regal figure steps forward. Ryder tells her he needs some time alone. He has never seen Mory cry like this. The regal woman replies softly that perhaps she isn't as good as she imagined herself to be. Then she introduces herself, Mira, Mory's sponsor, and the owner of PAE. That night, Mory finally steps outside, completely exhausted. Aya and Ryder have already fallen asleep. Hungry, he slips into the mansion's kitchen in search of food. He finds some fruit and takes it, but as he turns, he realizes Mira is watching him. Mira heads to the library, but as she passes, she sees Mory slipping into the kitchen. Curious, she follows him. That's the moment Mory notices her. He freezes as Mira appears in the doorway. His eyes widen in terror, and fear takes over. He bolts, knocking over a table. Mira doesn't understand at first, but then she realizes Mory is afraid of her. She steps back, moving out of sight, and hides beside the wall outside the kitchen to give him space. Mory breathes a little easier. Peeking back in, Mira sees him pressed tightly against a wooden table, trying to hide. Gently, she rolls a piece of fruit toward him. Mory stares at it, hesitant, then slowly reaches out. He picks it up, inspects it closely, and finally begins eating, his hunger too strong to resist. Exhausted but still wary, Mory clutches the fruit tightly as he eats. Mira watches quietly, her glowing white eyes softening as a smile spreads across her face. The next morning, Mory wakes up inside the mansion. Panic hits him, and he quickly runs off before anyone can see him. On his way, he bumps into Ryder. Ryder's face lights up in relief. He asks warmly if Mory slept well. Later, Mira summons Ryder. To reward him for delivering Mory safely to the mansion, she presents him with a box. She asks him to open it. As he lifts the lid, dazzling sparks shine from within. Inside the box lies a star fragment worth $50 million. Ryder stares at it, thinking he will finally be rich. But then, for a moment, he remembers his journey with Mory, how they came this far. Ryder closes the box and shakes his head. He tells Mira that Mory needs him. If he suddenly disappears, Mory will be shocked and sad. That's why he chooses to stay, at least until Mory gets used to this place. Suddenly, the same hunter they once fled from appears behind Ryder. He stiffens in fear, but Mira calmly introduces the man as her aide, Gila. She asks Ryder to forgive his earlier rude behavior, explaining that Gila thought Ryder was Mory's kidnapper. Later, Ryder asks Mory to explore the mansion with Aya, as he has a meeting with Mira. Mory agrees and leaves. In the meeting, all the Beaklings are present, along with Gila and Ryder. Mira addresses the room, explaining that they still haven't been able to contact Shalom. Ryder looks puzzled, not knowing who Shalom is. Mira explains. Shalom is the judge, the master of earth, and the ruler of life. 2 arms hold the omnipotent weight. 3 legs possess the authority of balance. And, with me, the patch, there are 7 fingers in total. Each of us was granted the power to open black holes for him. Shalom is one of the 7. She adds that the black hole Jile used was a small fragment of Shalom's power she had lent him. Mira continues. Shalom's domain stretches from the southern mountains to the river of Redden. Even the forest shelter where Mory lived falls under his jurisdiction. That is why we need to communicate through Shalom. But ever since Mory disappeared, we have been unable to reach him. We also haven't received the regular newsletters about Mory for several weeks. That is why we have been searching so desperately. Finally, Mira looks at Ryder and requests, "Stay with Mory until we manage to contact Shalom." Ryder nods in agreement. Meanwhile, Mory wanders through the palace with Aya, exploring its many corners. For the first time in a while, Mory looks a little happier. They enter a room that looks like it's filled with leftover materials for making something. Aya examines the items and tells Mory that his cloak was made here. Hearing this, Mory's eyes shine as he imagines how Myra must have made it especially for him. Just then, a beakling appears and recognizes Mory. She tells him, "Do you know how many times we asked Miss Myra to stop looking for you?" But she never listened. Aya then asks the beakling how this building in a field appears in the city. The beakling explains that Miss Myra built this villa herself. Myra wanted to understand Mory. Listening to this, Mory is filled with wonder. When they step back outside, Myra appears in front of them. Mory gets scared, turns away quickly, and this makes Myra sad. Ryder watches everything. He decides right then that he will make the two of them become friends no matter what. For this mission, he declares the start of Operation Befriend Mory. First attempt, tempt with snacks. Myra is sent to Mory with cookies, but the plan fails instantly. Mory is already happily sharing cookies with the beaklings. Second attempt, show interest in favorite items. Myra decorates her clothes with Mory's favorite things, fruit, drawing pencils, even his favorite doll. Ryder tells her to casually walk past him, but Mory still stays afraid. Third attempt, show a familiar appearance. Naturally, Ryder chooses his bike. He gives Myra full instructions on how to ride it, but it's clear this isn't working out. Fourth attempt, recreate how they became friends. Myra dresses up as Ryder, while Jill takes the role of a villain. When Mory is supposed to be rescued, Jile is already knocked out before the scene can even begin. Many more attempts follow, but each one fails. That night, heavy rain pours down outside. Thunder cracks through the sky. Mory, asleep in his room, wakes up in fear at the sound of a violent thunderstrike. Lightning strikes again with a deafening crash, scaring Mory so much that he slips out of his room to find a safe place. Ryder isn't there, busy with some work elsewhere. Wandering through the halls, Mory ends up at Myra's room. Inside, Myra's asleep in a chair. Mory crawls into the room and notices a book on child behavior observation lying next to her. Another clap of thunder shakes the house, and frightened, Mory quickly climbs onto Myra's lap. He curls up instinctively, hiding in fear and clutching himself tightly. Without realizing it, Myra gently rests her hands on him. Mory looks up at her. This time, there is no fear in his eyes. Instead, he feels as if he is sitting in his mother's lap. His eyes glimmer in the dim light, full of quiet thoughts. Mory begins to realize Myra isn't as frightening as he first believed. Mory fell asleep in Myra's lap, and when she suddenly woke up, she was shocked to find him there. His eyes shone with joy, and she hugged him warmly like a mother. The next day, when Ryder wakes, Aya informs him that the bike has been fixed. A beakling greets Ryder with a cheerful, "Good morning." Just then, a mail notification arrives at the door. The beakling asks Ryder to hand it to Myra, but when Ryder checks, his blood runs cold. It's his own wanted poster. Shock grips him. At that very moment, Myra appears behind him. Ryder quickly hides the poster and acts as if nothing is wrong. His thoughts race. Because of Mory's crying, I completely forgot. I'm still a wanted man. Luckily, Myra doesn't notice the mail. She simply tells Ryder, "Today we'll go outside to the city center to buy clothes for Mory." Ryder's chest tightens. He realizes he's in serious trouble now. They arrive at the market, where some women welcome them warmly. Ryder wears a mask to hide his identity. Myra explains that this is where she gets her clothes tailored. The staff shows them that here they can use a virtual version to instantly see any changes. Myra adds that since it was difficult to have clothes made for humans, they came to these professionals. When the staff speaks to Mory, he hesitates at first, but Myra has already told them his preferences. Instantly, they present the things he likes. Mory brightens and happily walks over to them. Myra frowns, warning that it is dangerous for him to follow strangers so easily. Ryder feels uneasy. They came here through a portal, yet this all feels strange. He tells Aya to scan the cameras around them, but Aya replies that it is difficult. Security here is extremely tight. Ryder wonders if they should quietly return to the mansion or simply run. Just then, Mory steps out wearing a rich suit, holding honey in his hand. Ryder is stunned. Mory looks adorable. Myra, however, is less impressed at first, her eyes even watering with emotion. Then she dresses him in a new outfit, one that looks just like hers. Seeing him, she grows emotional, thinking he looks wonderful. Ryder tries next, changing Mory's clothes into a suit identical to his own. Mory looks like a smaller version of him. Finally, Aya takes a turn, giving Mory a robotic look and declaring, "This is perfect." Myra and Ryder both laugh. then dress Mory in more outfits resembling theirs until they find ones that suit him best. Suddenly, Ryder remembers the wanted poster wasn't a mistake. It was because he fired his gun, an illegal act, even if it was to protect Mory. He thinks to tell Mira the truth, but then recalls the monster's words. Someone as dangerous as you shouldn't raise a child. Afraid Mira might turn against him, he swallows the confession and changes the subject. He asks instead about the lovely circle she once drew in Mory's letters. Mira explains, once, while processing documents, she came across a letter from Shalom. When she opened it, it turned into a virtual video. In it, she saw Mory looking as if he were staring directly at her. The first thought that struck her was how round and extremely cute he looked. That is why she wrote the lovely circle in the letter. In truth, the video was filmed from far away. Because Mory was scared of the camera, he was actually just staring at an ant. From that moment, Mira immediately began the process to become Mory's sponsor. Mira smiles softly. Perhaps my story sounds boring to you, she says. But Ryder shakes his head. Not at all. It was a wonderful beginning for Mory. Certainly better than mine. He falls silent, remembering how rough his own start had been. Later, while Mory tries on more new clothes, the room suddenly goes dark. Above them, a glowing white circle lights up the ceiling. Mory looks up, eyes wide in fear, staring at the strange shining ring in shock. The strange light pulls them in. Mory is dragged through a golden door and lands in a new place, crashing into someone's leg. Ryder and Mira jolt awake as they see this. Mory freezes in terror. Before him stands a strange creature, about to crush him. Ryder rushes forward to save him, but Aya warns him there's a camera nearby, and his identity will be revealed. At the last moment, Mira appears. She stops Ryder and uses her black hole energy to shape a slide from Mory's blue flower. Mory glides safely down the slide and lands near them. They see how frightened he is, trembling and pale. Aya reports his heart rate is spiking. Mory looks at them and bursts into tears. Finally, they pull him tightly into their arms. Later, back at the mansion, Mory falls asleep while Mira and Ryder stay beside him. Mira whispers that the strange light is not normal. Ryder agrees. Even the glow from my gun never reacted like this. Aya recalls the time Ryder accidentally set several bushes on fire, yet Mory remained unharmed, hiding the real truth. Mira explains this is why they use flames instead of electric lights in the mansion. According to past records, Mory always preferred living by oil lamps and candles with his friend. They also reflect on how Mory reacts to other spotlights. Ryder remembers once Mory even flinched at the beam of a simple torch. Mira digs through books, researching. Then she and Ryder plan an event together while Mory sketches quietly. They set up a stage, arranging the lights and seats. Mory sits with the Beaklings in the audience, wide-eyed, as the show begins. Ryder and Mira perform a shadow play, the story unfolding across the wall. It was Mira's idea. They'll start with a square-shaped beam of light, and as the story progresses, it will slowly turn circular. Mory sits with the others, enchanted by the moving shadows. Mira smiles softly. This is how good memories are made. The story continues. Then, the next page reveals Mory's own drawings. Aya, a little confused, begins narrating Mory's tale. 3 sons battling media, building an ultra-mega alloy 4th house within their budget. Mira frowns, unsure which play card to hold up. Ryder groans, what kind of story is this? But soon laughter breaks out. The audience loves it. Mory laughs too, and Ryder and Mira can't help but laugh with him. Meanwhile, somewhere, on a massive bridge in a strange place, a man approaches 2 figures cloaked in mystery. From the shadows behind him, a chilling order echoes, "Bring me Mira." The next morning, sunlight streams in as Mory wakes up early in his bed. Aya greets him with a cheerful, "Good morning," surprised because Mory usually sleeps longer. Today he looks refreshed. Ryder, still half asleep, mumbles that he wants a little more rest. Mory leaves the room, and the Beaklings remind him not to run in the halls. Soon, he runs into Mira, who welcomes him with open arms. It has been 1 month since Mory came to the mansion. He dirties his shoes, spills food on the floor, and eats with pure joy. Afterward, Jille has him help wash the dishes. Mory even sketches pictures of Mira. Ryder eventually walks in and notices how focused Mory looks while studying with her. Mira explains that Mory is trying to copy words from her flashcards. Ryder points out that all of them are wrong, but both he and Mira stay positive, encouraging him. Mory then hands a book to Aya to read. Aya studies it carefully and says, "This seems to describe some kind of phenomenon." Mira explains, "The method varies slightly depending on the species, and there can be differences of hundreds of years. But basically, when the body's lifespan is up, the cells go into sleep to return to their original state. They divide from 1 to 1 or from 1 to many. For example, I came from the judge's 4th finger. It says you need a safe place because you become completely defenseless when entering Pyrop." Just then, a Beakling shouts that Mory is drawing on the wall again. They make Mory clean it himself, and he nearly bursts into tears. Mira and Ryder gently remind him not to draw on the walls, while Ryder jokes that Jill will scold him if he keeps it up. At that moment, the mail bell rings. Ryder rushes to collect it and quickly hands it to Mira. He checks first. This time, there's no wanted poster. But Mira looks at him seriously. "We need to talk," she says. Ryder tenses, worried she may have discovered his secret. Instead, Mira shows him a special stone and explains, "This opens the judge's chamber." She adds that she has already contacted the judge. Ryder's stomach twists. He fears she may have reported him, that prison awaits. But instead, Mira asks calmly, "Ryder, would you like to join the patch?" Hearing this, Ryder is stunned. His expression makes Mira repeat the question. Does he want to join? Mira explains that she has already contacted the judge, asking him to make Mory a member of the patch. The judge has summoned them because there are not many rules for humans. Mira continues, "If you become a member, Ryder, it will protect you as well. Your wanted status will be erased. After that, I will also join." Ryder is shocked that Mira already knows. He asks when she found out. Mira replies calmly, "From the beginning." Ryder, even more surprised, asks, "Then why would you let a wanted man live in your home?" Mira answers, "Because Mory was crying. I observed how much he depended on you." She then asks Ryder how he first met Mory. Ryder tells her everything in detail. Mira finally understands why he is wanted. She takes Ryder's hand and says softly, "Life here may be less exciting than constant traveling, but I want you to stay." Ryder slowly nods his agreement. Afterward, Mira dresses Mory in fine clothes, reminding him that first impressions matter. Ryder gives Mory back his piece of the stone, which Mory hangs around his neck. Mira asks him, "If this feels too difficult, we can delay it." But Mory shakes his head, determined to go through with it. Then, a portal door appears in the room. Mira tells Mory and Jile to wait. "I will go first and greet him, then follow as we practiced." She steps through. After a short wait, Mory enters the portal and arrives in the judge's grand chamber hall. Ryder and the Beaklings watch from the mansion on a virtual screen. Mira steps forward, bows before a special symbol, and waits. The air ripples strangely, the hall filling with immense power. A vast cosmic presence takes form. Ryder's eyes widen. It is the judge himself. Jill urges Mory forward. As Mory approaches, a white ring of light surrounds him. He does not panic. He keeps moving ahead. Ryder smiles with pride. All those weeks of shadow games have paid off. Mory no longer fears the light. But just as Mory reaches toward Mira, his eyes catch a glowing white-ringed creature. His body stiffens. Fear returns, flooding him once more. Mory gets terrified and collapses to the ground. A guard gently lifts him up, asking if he is all right. Mira shouts, telling him to stop. But Mory suddenly remembers. When the rescue squad captured him once, they also had the same glowing circles. Panic surges through him. Overcome with fear, he bites the man's hand. The guard screams in pain. Mira rushes forward, ready to use her power to help, but another guard stops her. Suddenly, Mory is lifted high into the air and carried straight toward the judge. The judge's voice rumbles, commanding Mira to explain the situation. Mira returns without Mory. Ryder storms in, worried and furious. Mira explains that the judge misunderstood and placed the blame on her. They want to protect Mory in their own world. Ryder argues back, but Mira urges him to stay calm. The guards there were Shalom people. She also wonders how Shalom's people even entered the judge's world. Mira returns to the judge's hall, where 3 of the judge's council legs confront her. They demand, "How did a human child from Shalom's world arrive here? A human cannot cover such distance alone." They accuse Mira of secretly taking the boy from the shelter. Mira denies it, saying Mory came here on his own. The council presses, "Then how did a human break such limits?" Mira admits that she had made special clothes for Mory from rare fabric. She suspects that is what caused this. They ask if she did it intentionally. Mira insists no, her purpose was only to help, not for personal gain. She explains that contact with the shelter had been cut off, and after Mory went missing, they began searching for him. She adds that a traveler had brought Mory to the city. The council demands, "Where is this traveler now?" Mira answers, "He is no longer in the city." They respond that she cannot prove her story. They even bring up the incident when Mory got lost in the city center and was nearly hurt, and Mira used her power to save him. The pressure and suspicion on her grow heavier. Mira bows her head, admitting her mistake and asking forgiveness. The council declares, Mory is unfit. He should be returned to human society. They also question the shelter's competence, warning that he may end up in another dangerous place. Mira asks, can Mory be sent instead to a restricted area? Constantly changing places will break him. Humans here are far different from his old world. The council doubts that Mory can even communicate properly. They ask Mira's opinion. Mira insists, Mory knows how to express emotions. I want to speak to him myself. The council agrees to consider it. The judge cares for the happiness and safety of human children, they say, ending the meeting for the day. Later, the judge summons Mira into the darkness. In the black void, Mira sees Mory above her. She reaches out and grabs him tightly. She feels the difference in time and age between worlds. Her arm looks frail and old. A voice asks her, when the light goes out, can you endure the endless silence that follows? In the darkness, Mira clutches Mory against her, holding him close with all her strength. Later at Mansion, the Beaklings tell Ryder that Mira isn't eating and looks sad. Ryder says he will speak more at the next judgment, but Geely warns him that this will only make things harder. He reminds Ryder of what he saw. Mira lied before the judge only because Ryder is wanted. Geely adds that no one will trust him, especially since he carries an illegal Aya. He warns that if Ryder acts rashly, the Aya core could be taken away. Ryder flares with anger. How can they take Aya? I created him myself, but Aya calmly explains. They are only warning about a possible danger. You must stay calm. As Ryder walks on, a message arrives. A package has come. He picks it up and is stunned to see the judge's insignia on the envelope. He runs to Mira in excitement. This is the answer to our request. We've been granted permission to see Mory. Mira is shocked, hope flickering in her eyes for the first time. They prepare for the meeting. The Beaklings pack a bundle of Mory's favorite things and hand it to Mira. Mira then uses a high-grade tool to open a portal in the center of the room and steps through. Darkness surrounds her until two guards escort her into the judge's world. There, a vast city spreads out before her. As she is transported deeper inside, Mira notices drawings Mory once made, and her resolve hardens. She must stay strong. Finally, she is led to a brightly lit modern chamber. Inside, she sees Mory lying alone in a glass-sealed room. Her heart sinks. Why is he kept like this? She demands. A staff member explains, since the boy arrived, he has refused to eat. We have been force-feeding him nutrients. We also took away his cloak. He acts completely wild, even biting staff. So for safety, no one is allowed near him. Angry, Mira gives them careful instructions about his food and toys, then turns away, deeply troubled. But as she is about to leave, Mory stirs. His eyes flutter open, and he sees her through the glass. His lips tremble as he tries to call her name in a weak, tearful voice. Panic rises in him, his breathing quickens. The staff rush in and inject him with anesthesia through tubes. Mory collapses back, unconscious. Night falls over the house. The Beaklings whisper among themselves. They know that Mira has locked herself in her room. When they see Ryder heading toward her door, they warn him now is not the right time. But Ryder ignores them and walks straight in. He insists she talk to him. Mira refuses, saying she wants to be alone. Ryder's eyes fall on the desk. A glowing resignation letter lies there. He stares in shock. Are you leaving, Mory? He demands. His voice rises with anger. You can't hand him over to others like some object. Suddenly, Mira's body begins to glow with raw energy, her fury made visible. She warns Ryder not to provoke her further. Mira says she is only making the best choice for Mory. Ryder snaps back. This isn't a choice. It's running away. It's refusing to fight. Then Mira shouts, Mory hasn't been eating. Ryder is taken aback. He tells her, it's been 2 weeks. Since the decision, they've only been feeding him through tubes. Mira's face crumbles. She admits, maybe I've been selfish clinging to him for my own comfort, not for his good. Maybe I built this bond for myself. If I keep fighting, he will only weaken more. If he gets sick, or if he dies, maybe letting go is better. She breaks down in tears, confessing she doesn't know what is right for Mory anymore. Ryder grips her shoulders firmly. His voice steadies. You can't give up. Mory is still so young. Even adults couldn't survive the hardships he's endured. He searched so hard to find you. Are you going to throw all of that away? He leans closer, his words sharp. Will you waste all of Mory's struggle? Mira whispers that someone called her, saying Mory will be given to a new human family because humans believe every child must have a mother. Ryder's eyes blaze. So what? Why does that matter? He growls. We can be his family, even if we're not human. Even if we don't have that so-called mother's bond, they don't define what family is. We do. Mira stares at him, stunned. Slowly, hope flickers back into her eyes. Later, they hold a meeting. Aya tells everyone they must prepare to prove they can be better than the mother. From the restricted area, the one who controls it. Using data, Aya explains that humans usually raise children with 2 parents, called a couple or parents, often bound by marriage. Ryder sits beside Mira and says, that means from now on, we are a couple. Mira startles and blushes. The Beaklings find it cute, but Geel scowls, barely controlling his frustration. Aya then asks Ryder which role he wants. Ryder declares, I'll be the mother, because most children like their mothers more. He even asks, can there be 2 mothers? Aya admits there isn't enough data, but guesses it should be fine. A Beakling suggests they should show their wealth to prove themselves better, but Aya bluntly points out that Ryder is broke. Ryder immediately starts arguing with him. The Beaklings recall their own time with Mory, how often they hugged him, how sometimes he climbed onto them. One sighs, I should have let him draw on the walls instead of scolding him. A cook adds, Mory always finished his food. They search through books but realize they lack real information from the shelter, since communication and translation there had always been poor. The group grows discouraged. Finally, Mira decides she must meet Shalom. The Beaklings worry. Shalom has not answered calls. Some panic, realizing Mira intends to go without permission. Staff try to stop her, warning it is dangerous. but Mira insists she has to go. The group explains, Shalom knows the most about humans. He might even know secrets about Mory's past, but he is in the playground, a strange place created by his own power. Entering without permission is dangerous. People can lose their minds there or vanish forever. Mira still declares, I will go. Ryder immediately adds, then I'll go too. We are both mothers now, and we can't wait any longer. Jile also demands to join. Mira agrees, and they get ready together. Mira pulls out a star fragment to aid their travel. But without an invitation, they cannot be sure where they will arrive. Mira tells them to stay close. The artifact opens a black portal, pulling them inside. Moments later, they crash onto the shore of a strange, empty sea, ready to begin their new search. The group walks along the black shore, then passes through many new places. Green hills, tall mountains, calm waters, mysterious ruins, and dense forests. They even move under enormous beasts floating in the sky. Everyone grows tired, the journey is hard, but no one stops. At night, they camp together inside a cave. Mira admits the journey is difficult for her because she hasn't traveled like this in many years. She looks up at the sky and says Mory would have loved the view. Ryder adds that Mory used to put everything in his mouth and always needed extra supplies. They laugh, but deep down, they miss him dearly. Jile says he never understood why Mira cared so much about humans, but when he saw her with Mory, he also felt connected. He recalls moments with Mory, like the time he stopped him from eating dirt, and realizes how strange and difficult it is to care for a human child. Finally, he says he never wants to see sadness on Mory's face again. Their journey continues. On the way, they notice a strange structure of bones scattered across the ground. At night, Ryder and Aya search for a path and find more bones spread along it. After some time, they reach a massive ancient gate marked with a flower symbol. The whole team passes through it and enters a vast, dark hall that looks like an ancient cathedral. Suddenly, they notice two small bear-like creatures peeking at them from behind a stone. The group thinks it might be Shalom, but it isn't. The bear-like creatures release energy, which Ryder tries to capture. Suddenly, a new figure appears, a red circle glowing on his face, and he attacks immediately. Jile moves fast to block the strike, but the man dodges and charges toward Mira. Before he can land the blow, Mira uses her power and traps him inside a black hole. In that moment, she recognizes him, and he recognizes her. He is Nepal, one of Shalom's closest aides. When he steps out, he explains that he mistook them for wild beasts, which is why he attacked. Mira apologizes for arriving without notice. Nepal says Shalom would have been glad to see her if he were here. That's when Mira realizes Shalom is gone. After sharing words, Nepal explains that the shelter where Mory was kept was not under his control in the beginning, and he had no idea the situation would get so bad. For Mory, it felt like strangers had invaded his safe world to kidnap him, when in truth it was a rescue party trying to save him. Mira realizes that Shalom has entered division, a mysterious process where beings like him split their existence to preserve themselves in weaker forms. It becomes clear why Shalom's people were seen near the judge's domain, and why Mory managed to slip away. Shalom's form had weakened, and his presence had vanished. The judge was not their enemy, he was protecting Shalom. Nepal explains that the judge's domain, considered the safest place in the universe, has now become a refuge for Shalom and his people. Most of them have gone into the judge's division chambers to guard his surroundings, while Nepal stayed behind to oversee this playground. The group realizes they won't be able to meet Shalom now. To lift their mood, Nepal shows them around. Soon, their eyes fall on an archive room high above, filled with priceless data, not only about animals, but also about humans, the ones Shalom valued the most. The archive record room is not what they expect. Ryder steps forward and sees a massive heap glowing with energy at the center. Inside it, all the records are stored. Nepal explains this is where Shalom preserved every detail of every creature, even humans. The problem is, it's completely disorganized, and sorting it would take thousands of years. Mira says they only need the records about humans. Ryder adds, only about mothers. Nepal shakes his head and says, even on that scale, classification would take at least a year. That's not acceptable for them. Mira thinks maybe she can use her own energy to help, but Ryder stops her. She has to stand in the judge's chamber tomorrow. She can't exhaust herself now. Seeing Ryder troubled, Aya remembers the moment Ryder first created him, when he first opened his eyes and Ryder gave him the name Aya. Then Aya asks Nepal if he can use the amplifier stored here. Nepal says he can hand it over, but there's no device to run it. Aya calmly says he will handle that. Ryder realizes Aya is planning to use his own energy to pull data waves through the amplifier. Ryder panics and says, did your memory function break? You told me never to overexert yourself after releasing your limit for too long in the whale cradle. You won't last more than 10 minutes. How much chance of damage? Aya answers, around 90%. Then he asks Ryder a question, why did you make me? If it was only for convenience, why did you give me a name? Why did you give me the ability to smile? Ryder falls silent. He has no answer. Aya then says, "My ability is extraordinary. Next time, make a better body for me." He warns, "I'll only manage to classify a grain of sand's worth of records, but even that will help. The rest is up to you." Then he begins. The amplifier glows, overclock mode activates, and Aya links into the data stream. Human memories flood into him at incredible speed. Mira steps forward to help, channeling her power into the flow, but the data is far heavier and faster than expected. Aya staggers. Sparks fly out of him. His body trembles. Ryder rushes forward, but Napal holds him back, warning it's dangerous to touch. Aya's mind fills with memories of Mory, his laughter, his little moments. He wants to do this for Mory. Finally, the amplifier overloads, discharging massive shockwaves. Mira uses her power to stabilize it, and Ryder drags Aya out with his own hands. Ryder looks at his broken state, his energy nearly gone. Then suddenly, Aya shuts down. Mira says quietly, "We got all the data." Ryder says, "Then let's go back." At night in the mansion, Ryder is repairing Aya. Some beaklings are helping, but he still looks worried. Mira comes and asks how Aya is. Ryder says the parts Mira gave him are better than what he had, but the memory state is fragile. Even if Aya powers on, his old memories might not remain. They'll only know his condition when they turn him on tomorrow. Hearing this, Mira looks a little sad. Ryder sits down, and Mira sits beside him. Ryder says being a mother is not just a role, it becomes a symbol. Mira thinks and says in metaphors and words of love, "It feels true." Ryder asks if humans can really do everything a mother is supposed to. Mira says maybe even all of them together could not. In the records, people called mothers stars. She doubts she'll be accepted even if she imitates all the mother's records here. She adds she had hoped to find something in Shalom's records about Mory's birth mother. Ryder says maybe that was in the data they failed to retrieve. Mira replies it's possible, but if she herself never found it before, maybe there was another reason. Ryder says maybe Mory's mother doesn't exist in this world, and not every mother accepts her child. Not every mother is perfect. Then Mira takes out the small doll she gave Mory and says, "This is actually supposed to be a puppy." Ryder laughs and says it doesn't look like one. Mira explains she saw in the data that puppies are the gifts children most want to receive. Ryder tells her Mory liked it, which makes Mira smile happily. Then Mira admits she gave Ryder that precious stone to leave because she felt jealous. The kind of bond Ryder had with Mory was what she wanted. That's why she thought of sending him away quickly, making excuses. It was wrong, forcing separation like that. She thought money could replace it. Mira says that was a weak move, thinking only of herself. Ryder laughs and says, "We're both the same. I was jealous of you too." Then they return to their work. Mira scans the data, and Ryder continues fixing Aya. Aya suddenly shows a flicker of awareness. He tells Ryder that with this data, their chances of winning the judgment are 36%. Then he says Ryder should get the bike ready because they will have to go. Ryder prepares his gun, takes out the bike, and they leave the mansion. The scene shifts to Mory. He is alone in the room, lifeless, silent, drained of strength. Suddenly, a stone falls to the ground, the same stone Ryder once tied to Mory's. Mory moves toward the stone, and at that very moment, a voice calls, "Mory, look up." When Mory glances upward, he sees Ryder peeking through the window. Mory's eyes light up, and his face fills with joy. Smiling, Ryder tells him he has been searching everywhere. He says he has missed Mory so much, then gently pats his head. Tears well up in Mory's eyes. Ryder tells him not to cry, that he has come to save him. He promises he will be Mory's mother, father, grandparent, brother, sister, everything. Ryder adds that he cannot force Mory to live like him. The others are fighting to save him, but the situation is not good. Still, the one who imprisoned him wants Mory's answer. Ryder asks if there is a way he can express his feelings. Mory starts pointing and signaling, but they don't understand. Ryder struggles at first, then realizes Mory means a diary. He gives Mory the diary and some colors. Mory quietly sits on the floor and begins to draw. On the pages, Mory pours out his memories. The wild animals that once raised him, Rodina, the gang, Gile, and Aya. Finally, he draws Mira and Ryder, adding them together with shaky letters. He tries to write the word mother but falters. Ryder shows him a picture of a mother and child and writes the word mother underneath. Seeing it, Mory's eyes sparkle. This is how he finally reveals his heart. But at that very moment, the control room detects someone using the cleaning robe. They trace Ryder's presence. Sirens blare as the alarm goes off. On the other side, Mira stands in front of the portal and asks Beaklings what happened to Ryder. They stay silent because they don't know where Ryder has gone. Mira says she is sure Ryder will come back. Then she walks through the portal and enters Judge's world. In front of the judge, the judgment begins. The judge asks Mira if she still refuses to back down. Mira answers that until Mory himself chooses to leave her, she will not give up. The judge says Mory cannot even speak, that he is not like her, not even human. How will she raise him? Mira replies that Mory needs education, which is why she contacted Shalom's shelter. They agreed to help. The judge reminds her Shalom is now under their control, in division. Mira responds that she knows the judge has Shalom's authority, which is why she asked for help. If given, Mory could learn about human society in a familiar environment. The judge says, "Have you forgotten that they were negligent in their care for the child?" Mira shows a digital image and explains these were the caretakers at the shelter in Shalom's domain. They tried to protect many children under Shalom's will. Protecting life during human wars was difficult, but they still cared for them. She insists they are capable of making mistakes. Then she reminds them of the past, when we belatedly realized that creations capable of acquiring knowledge were being sacrificed in meaningless disputes. The one who was the saddest was none other than you, Judge. They ask how she will prove she can handle different roles as a guardian alone. Mira shows a digital document containing statements from patch members. Different Beaklings had taken on different roles and gave her this document to support her. The judge says, no matter how good the intentions, this relationship has a hierarchy and is unequal. You could be dangerous to the child. You know better than anyone the dangers of the power that comes with authority. The inequality between adults and children is the same for humans. Mira creates black hole energy in her hand and says the strong power she was given by the judge has always been used to protect Mory. But if that power is considered dangerous for him, she is ready to give it up. The judge gets angry and calls her foolish. They ask what she herself thinks. Does she believe she can truly become a complete mother? Mira answers that she doesn't know. Even after reviewing so much data, she cannot say. Others also watch her digitally. Mira continues, perhaps I won't reach it even by the day Mory leaves my side. While I may know the definition of mothers that everyone thinks of, the definition of Mory's mothers is something only Mory can determine, and I hope it will be us who accompany him on the journey to find that definition. With tears, she begs for one chance. The judges speak among themselves, saying her appeal is emotional, but still lacks evidence that the child came voluntarily. At that moment, a portal suddenly opens in the judgment hall. Mira hears a familiar sound, something she remembers from before. From the portal, Ryder bursts out on his bike. Both the judge and Mira are shocked to see him. The judge grows angry. Suddenly, a beam of light shoots out, striking Ryder and restraining him. Blood begins to flow from Ryder, and Mira panics at the sight. The judge tells Ryder that barging into his chamber without permission is absolutely forbidden, but Ryder only smiles. He says, "Don't you know? To raise a child, a sound mind isn't always necessary." Then he pulls something from his pocket, letters. Ryder says, "These are for you." When the letters are checked, it is confirmed they were written by a human. They are Mory's drawings, filled with his emotions. Ryder admits he knows he is a bad man, but says he cares for Mory and will do anything for him. The judge's energy fades. He declares that now he will give his judgment. Mory is still in the glass prison. He throws himself against it, desperate to break free. He falls, but then rises again. He slams into it once more, and this time, a door opens. Mory is pulled into the judge's chamber and lands in the judge's hand. Smiling, the judge says, "Young star, live the life you desire. Mira was right about you. You are round and lovely. There is no greater love than this. Now, let's go home." Mory is transported. He opens his eyes and finds himself in the grassy field, the place where he always waited. He looks up, and they all arrive. Mira, Ryder, the whole group. Mory shouts with joy, then bursts into laughter. He runs toward them. Mira and Ryder open their arms, and Mory leaps into their embrace. Tears shine in his eyes. And then, for the very first time, he whispers a word, "Mother." Everyone freezes. Shock, joy, unbelievable happiness. He said it, he called them mother. In the final scene, Aya appears in a better state. They live happily, and Mory's story ends. Yet his smile will always remain. Thank you, Mory.